Hey everyone, good morning and good evening. I hope everyone is doing fine. So, today in this session, we're going to talk about a Tableau tool, and in which we are primarily going to focus on one piece of the functionality, which is joins. So, this comes under the data connections. So when I say data connections, let's say if you're working with multiple tables or multiple data sets, or in case if you're working with multiple files, and each person is having a different set of data. And if you want to compile that and make it as a one single table to use it for your analysis, then you prefer to do a joins. So when I talk about joins, there are totally four types of joins. The first one is inner, outer, left, and right. Okay. So before we go into the Tableau and learn how to do the join, I'll first tell you what is a join does for us. Let me show you an Excel sheet. I told you there are like four types of join. Let's say there is one, Excel sheet or one table or one data set is available with one person, which I'm naming it as A. And there is another table which is present with some other person with table B. All right. So both works on a same organization. This person is having the details of an employee and their names, and the other person is having the employee IDs of that company and the location and which department they are working. Now, let's say a person is need the details of the location and department for his employees. Let's say he has these four employees and he need the detail of location and department of those employees. Then we can do the joins, right? So the different types of joins gives you a different result. That means a different output. When I say different output, a new table will be generated. Now let's say if I do first an inner join, what does the inner join does? It first goes and check what is a primary key column in both the tables. When I say primary key, the primary key column is something which is identified uniquely in both the tables. Let's say instead of the employee ID, if I have the names as well, here also I have the names. This does not become your primary or a unique key column because the names can be duplicate. The same names can be shared with multiple employees, right? So employee ID becomes your primary key column, which will be uniquely identified for each employee, right? So it will identify what is your primary key. With that primary key, it applies the inner join. So when I say an inner join, it will check what is the common employee in both the tables. Now see what is the common employee. 1133, I don't have it. 44, yes. 55, yes. So that means 114455. These are the three employees which is common in both the tables. So only that details will be available. Now say whatever the respective names for those employee, it's AA, C, and D, right? And what is the location and department for those employees, right? For AA, it's USA and corporate. For 44, it's India and corporate. And let's say for 55, it's USA and corporate. Okay, so this will be your final table when you apply an inner join to these two tables. Now, talking about a left join, right? So when you talk about a left join, let's say this is on my right hand side. So I'll say this is the right table. This is on my left hand side. So I'll say this is my left table. When you apply a left join to these two tables, the first thing is it will have all the data from the left, and then it will go ahead and check to your right table, whatever the corresponding the data to the left table that's going to be visible. So that means I have location and the department, right? So with this, for the 1 1, what is the location and department? It is available. For 3 3, I don't have the location and department. If the corresponding data is not available, it is just going to return as a null values. Okay. So this is just going to return as a null values there. Let's say for 4 4, I have it. For 5 5, I have it. It's going to give you the result. Talking about the right table, it's going to exactly work reverse how the left table was doing it. Okay. Now, When you apply a right table, all the data from the right will be available. And then it goes and checks the corresponding names for that table. Okay. For 4.4, I don't have the name. Sorry, I have the name. For CC, for 5.5, I have the name. For 1.1, I have the name. For 6.6, I don't have the name. It's going to return as null. Okay. Now talking about the final one, which is an outer join. So in the outer join, you will have the data from all the tables. I mean, both the tables. So this is the primary key. When I say all the data, let me do it this way. I will have all the employees from this table and then all the employee IDs from this table. Now I have all the employee IDs from both the table, but here I am seeing there is employee IDs are repeating. So it will not let you to repeat. It will just have the unique employee IDs only. Okay. So 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, those are the unique employee IDs. Only that will be available. And then it will have the corresponding names, corresponding locations, and the department, so on and so forth. Okay. So this is how the joins is working. So you have to identify what is your primary key column, right? It's not necessary that primary key column should be only one column always. You can have multiple primary key columns. Okay. So you can have multiple primary key columns, and also you can have multiple tables. It's not only that only two tables you can do a join. Okay. So you can do the joins in multiple tables you wanted it. So this is the concept that join is going to work, that it's going to create a new table. This new table will be used for analysis. Okay. Just we are going to pick up the data from both the tables depending on our requirement by applying the joins. Now, talking about that in Tableau here, right? So this is your home screen where you have a connect, open, and the discover section. We will use the connect area to connect our data set. So before I jump into the joins here in Tableau, so there are like two ways you can do it. One is single database join. The other one is cross table join. So when I say single database join, let's say if you have the data coming from Excel and another data coming from Excel, or one coming from text, another coming from text, coming from PDF, and another one is coming from PDF. So that means a same database type, same database connection. When I say cross table, let's say one data is coming from PDF and another data is coming from text. Let's say one data is coming from text, another is coming from some server. So if you have multiple different connections of the database, then that will call as a database cross table join. There is no difference between the steps of doing the join, but there is one difference that I'll just show you in a minute now. Okay. Now see here, I'm going to connect to a data set for which I'm going to do a join. So I'm going to the Excel sheet. I'm connecting to the folder, which is a joins. It's an Excel sheet. I connect that. Now, right now we are on the data source page, which is having the connections, which is telling you what is your file name and what is your file connection, and also telling you how many sheets are present in that file. Now, I want to work on this particular table, so I just drag and drop that on the right-hand side. So whatever you see on the top is a joins area. This is your preview pane, which is showing the preview of the data, and this is a metadata view. We do not require metadata view at this point, so let me hide this. So it's a very small data that we have here, which is having the employee ID and the age from the bio details. Now let's check what is the details available under the another table. So here I have employee ID and the course. One is having the employee ID and the age, and the other one is having employee ID and the course. We're just going to merge this. That means we're going to do a join. Now I'm going to have the employee ID, course, and the age in one single table. I have one table available here. Now I want to bring in another table. So before you bring and do the join, you have to open the join section. How do we open it? Either you go to the drop down and click open, or you just double click on this tab to open the join section. Then you just take another table and drag it on the right hand side, not on the bottom or top or left. You drag and drop it on the right hand side. So as soon as you drag and drop it, Tableau tool is smart enough to understand what is your primary key here, and it automatically gave you the data here. Okay, it built the join. Okay, now see here, this column is coming from the details table, this column is coming from the bio details table. Now here you may see that I showed you an example. Even though I have the employee ID in both the tables, in my result I just used one single column for employee ID, primary key column. But here it is showing twice, right? In case if you just want as only one, you can just select, hold a control key, and you can select both the fields, both the columns. Go to this drop down small arrow here and you can merge the mismatch fields. That means it will become as one single column. Okay. Now, in case if you want to change the type of a join, now I want an inner join or a left join or outer join, you can just simply click on this Venn shape diagram and click on left join if you want it. Accordingly, the table is getting updated. Right join, the table is getting updated. Full outer, the table is getting updated, right? So whatever you're final seeing it here, that is going to be available for your analysis, right? So this is a single database join where you have, both coming from the Excel sheet and you did it. Now let's say if you decided to remove any one of the table, you can just go to the drop down and slowly click here on the remove and the table will be removed. Okay. Now I have only one connection. Now let's talk about the cross table join. Let's say one is coming from text and another one is coming from an Excel. Okay. Now I'm adding another connection, which is going to be my text file. I'm connecting the joins text file. Okay. The problem here in the joins text file is, let me show you here. Let me drag out all the data tables outside. I have the joins text file. In the joins text file, I have this data, which is showing you employee number and the location. The previous data was having, the Excel sheet was having something called as an employee ID, correct? And now this is something called as an employee number. As a user, we understand that employee number and employee ID, these both are same. But we are not sure if Tableau will understand in the same way or not, right? So before in both the tables, it was exactly employee ID. So it automatically identified the primary key and did the join. When you have a different column names, it's just only the column names is different. Instead of employee ID, I'm just putting employee number. The column name is different, the field name is different, but inside the data is going to be the same, right? So let's see what happens in this case. Now I have joins text file here, right? I want to add the table from the Excel sheet. So you should always remember and observe one thing. Whenever you make a new connection, there will be a strip color which will be changing every time. Every new connection, every new strip. So this is just an identification to understand which column or which field is coming from which connection. Okay. Now I have the joins text file. I open the join section. Now I want the data from the Excel sheet. I click on the Excel. I have two sheets. Let's say I want the sheets from the bio details. I just drag and drop it on the right hand side. This time Tableau is not able to understand the primary key column because one is employee ID and another one is employee number, as I showed you here, right? So you can quickly define to Tableau that employee ID and the employee number is equal. How do you define it? Click on the exclamation mark. This box will be opening up here. And from here in the data source, say employee number is equals to employee ID. As soon as you define this, you will be able to see that the join is making up. If you want to change the type of a join, you can just change the type of a join you want. Okay. I told you the steps remain the same, right? The steps remain the same, but there is one drawback in doing the cross table join. You remember just few minutes ago, I told you that you can just hold a control key and select both the common primary key and merge mismatch fields in the single database. But here in the cross table join, you will not be able to do that. You will not be having that option. Okay. So that's the difference we have doing the single database join or a cross table join. Now, once you did the join, you can close this join section and you will be seeing the Venn shape diagram. That means a join has been applied. Now, further, you can go to the sheet. Okay. And whatever the details that was available in the preview pane, those details will be available here. Let's say I have an employee ID. I want to see from which location they are coming in or what are their ages. You can just drag and drop it here to quickly see and understand the details here. Okay. So this is it we have here under the joins functionality. Let me know in case if you have any questions, and thanks for your patience and listening this. Thank you.